They tried to divide our country, to poison the national debate, and to tear up the fabric of our great democracy. Our movement took on the political establishment, the corrupt media, and it's never been more corrupt than it is today. They wanted to destroy a movement like our country has never seen before. This is a struggle for the survival of our nation. They're never taking it away from us.
What's important right now is we all make our voices heard. Making your voice heard takes many forms. It might be speaking at a rally. It might be listening to someone speak at a rally and expressing yourself through your applause and appreciation. It might be holding a sign. It might be banging a drum. It might be honking a horn. What's important right now is you make your voices heard. Thank you.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. And I'll tell you why I played that particular clip in just a moment. If you saw the screen there, kind of a spoiler. Anyway, it's great to be with you guys on a Monday. It's February 7th, 2022. My name is Adel Nero. Many of you out there know me as 412. And I've got a good panel for you guys today. Lots of great stuff to talk about. So let's not waste a lot of time. Let's get right into it. Belushi, great to see you on a Monday, buddy. How was your weekend? How you doing today?
It was good, man. My son, got whatever was going around. He had a little fever and was, throwing up and stuff. But yeah, we worked through it. We pushed through it. Of course, X is like, oh, I have this call at 1:00 and I can't get a COVID test from him. Like, he doesn't need a freaking COVID test. So it's an uphill battle, man. The whole thing. I mean, a lot of people just still stuck in the brainwashing out there, but I'm good, man. Good weekend. Happy to be here. I think there's a lot of positive momentum and energy flowing through this whole world and this movement right now. And I'm hoping that we're going to double down and capitalize on all of it. So I'm excited.
Yeah, man, I'm excited too. I couldn't agree more. I think things are really accelerating for us. The rubber is really hitting the road. There's no more looking away. There's no more avoiding it. Everyone's gonna have to pick a side here before too long, and that's the exciting part. Is there's gonna be no more sitting on the sidelines. I think a lot of the normies are gonna have to face a lot of this and decide where they stand, and I think this is exciting. But good to be with you, Belushi. We also got Drunk Pinata in the house. Drunk Pinata, how are you, bud?
Doing pretty good today. How you guys doing?
I'm well. How was your show?
Would you believe it if I told you that we went over a 25-minute documentary on QAnon and it was a fair shake?
On what? On what network?
CBS.
CBS gave.
But
QAnon.
it's from November of 2020. So it was a while ago, but I could not believe it. It makes me. I want to look out who actually made that. Who the guy? Because the interviewer is like, let's see what else he's done. Because it seems like I was shocked. Ended up watching the whole thing.
Wow, interesting.
There was a lot of the surface stuff was incorrect, but they didn't really do the stuff that they normally do. It was really weird.
Very interesting.
Really good. It was an honest take. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I have to see it to believe it. Just like Lizard King said over there on D Live. But yeah, that's really cool. I wonder if it ever actually aired on TV or if it's just something they uploaded online. But anyway,
It probably could have been an online thing. I don't know, but it's hard to say. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's good to be with you, Pinata. That's super interesting. Tennessee Homesteader, great to have you along as well, buddy. How was your weekend?
Working.
Working?
Yeah. It's the same old shit. Just trying to jockey around until next Saturday.
What's next Saturday?
That's when my new freezers are delivered.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot.
Nice.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, you
So
had,
now-
you had the flooding in the basement, and it took down some appliances. This is brutal.
Yeah. So now it's jockeying stuff out from one freezer to another freezer that is still operative, so that I rotate and keep the stuff as frozen as possible until the new ones arrive.
That sounds like an absolute, like a stressful clusterfuck, dude. Like I'm getting anxiety just listening to that situation.
Yeah, especially when you see some of the stuff that's been, that was frozen solid now, not well thawed enough. They're still cold and all, so it's not like they can't be refrozen. But it's just a pain. And then it's like I'm running between the garage, because the freezers, there's a refrigerator there that has a freezer, the kitchen, then the basement, then the freezers outside, then the freezers outside to the basement, to the kitchen, to the garage. Rotation. It's good to have preps, but so that taught me a lesson. Lesson
Yeah.
is prevent it from happening again as much as possible. So I got a new, I don't know if I told you this, but there's a product out there that I ordered and I'm going to install it. It's an automatic sensor that has basically wired, not wireless sensors. I don't like the wireless ones, but wired sensors that are basically moisture sensors, and you put them strategically and they feed into this unit, and the unit then feeds wired into an on-off valve on your water main. So if any one of those sensors detects water, shuts off the main.
Oh, that's nice. So good. Yeah, that's well. If you, especially if someone like you has so much invested when it comes to appliances, and then
Yep.
the preps inside of those that rely on them being powered. That sounds like a really smart thing to have in place. So live and learn, right? That's
Yeah.
how
What
do
can you
it.
say? Live and learn. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Tien, I'm glad through it all you're able to be here for the discussion today. It's never the same without you, buddy. So, yeah, no, it's good to have you here. Well, let's jump in and take care of our sponsors. We have some old sponsors, some new sponsors. So let's take care of those, and then we will get into. I want to talk a lot about the truckers today and some of the stuff that's going on. Lots of interesting developments there. But first, I want to tell you about Integral Networks. Integral Networks has been around for about a year or so now. We really appreciate their sponsorship. I saw Clover Lily out there in the live chat. This is her people. Really appreciate them. They're an America First third-party IT provider, and they do such a great job. No matter where you are in the country, no matter what your setup is, they can make your life a lot easier with their services. Doesn't matter if you have employees working in the office building in cubicle land, spread out working remotely. They can do it all. And so one of their services is a remote workspace. Basically what this allows you to do as an administrator is it allows you to set up your user's desktop and workspace on an Integral Networks server, one that they physically own, not going anywhere, not going to get shut down. But basically this gives you full control over software applications, what versions are on, whenever you want to update them or manage that. You could do that centrally for all of your employees really easily. It also secures your data. Instead of it being carried on local hard drives, machines, thumb drives, and whatnot, it just stays right there on the server. Your employees use a device and an internet connection to log in and access it. It's a really efficient, secure way to handle IT administration. I think it's great. If that's not your cup of tea, though, they do it all. They offer full IT services, cybersecurity, data backup and security, break and fix solutions. I mean, you name it, they do it. So go check them out, integralnetworks.com, a great America First option for your IT. And we really appreciate them and their sponsorship of this channel over the past year. Also, we have a new sponsor, really love the Again Boutique. It's again.boutique. And I love their gear. The hat I'm wearing right now, I'll pull this down for a second. You guys can see my my MAGA hat. This is fresh. They just sent this one to me. It's brand new. I love it. It's kind of like a low-key MAGA hat. Their designs are kind of understated and clean. I really enjoy their products. Let me go back to their hats. I'll show you. I love the trucker hats. They're my favorite. So I'll go there. But you can see, oh, she just added these honk hats. Very, very cool. I love that. I'm to get my hands on a honk hat. You can see all the great designs. Patriot, again, MAGA, honk. There's, like I said, really clean, kind of understated. I've gotten so many compliments on my black and gold MAGA hat being here in Pittsburgh. Those are my Pittsburgh friends out there will know what I'm talking about. But they offer beanies with some cool designs, pet placemats, and some cool T-shirts. Some really cool T-shirts as well. I believe these pet placemats are you can personalize them too, so you can get your pet's name on there. Just all kind of cool products here from again.boutique. Promo code WTPI for 10% off your order. Please go flood the website with traffic and show our new sponsors how we treat our community here on WTPI. So there you go. Those are our sponsors. Of course, we have Earth Garden Botanicals as well, everyday sponsor of the show. CBD oil, fire cider, elderberry tonic at earthgardenbotanicals.com. Promo code WTPI there as well for 10% off your product. So very, very cool. Let's jump into this talk.
That wasn't too soon, was it, TN? The use of flood? I don't want to be triggered over there.
Yeah. I wanted an indoor swimming pool, but not that one.
Yeah, not the one that you or didn't you have a pool, or did you fill that in or something to become a
I have a pool. It's outdoors.
Okay. Yeah.
But this one was all indoors. One thing that I could tell you is that my man door out of the basement, in and out it's called a man door because, right? It's so solidly tight that actually no water came out of that. When I opened it, that was a different story. But while it was flooding, no water. That's how it was 6 inches over, 4 to 5 inches for sure. It could have been 6, but 4 to 5 inches for sure. Because it was above my ankles when I was trying to get to it to shut it off. But anyways, go on.
Well, sorry to trigger the flashback. But no, let's talk about this trucker situation. So I have this article here from the Post Millennial. It says Trudeau in quote unquote private meetings as capital city in state of emergency. And just breaking right before we went live, an Ontario judge grants an injunction to prevent honking in downtown Ottawa. So now a judge is saying honking in downtown Ottawa is illegal. That video I played in the cold open, it was like a minute and a half, had the lady talking, but you just had the trucks constantly honking. That was apparently, according to the Post Millennial, in direct response to this ruling from the judge. So pretty funny stuff here. There's a state of emergency. They've outlawed honking. I've got a couple other things here too to throw into this to get the conversation started. They're seizing fuel. Check this out. They're seizing fuel from people trying to, help the truckers. So Ottawa police seize fuel from Freedom Convoy protest site, make more arrests. So police in Canada capital have begun to seize fuel and say they've made multiple arrests after issuing a statement saying those trying to bring supplies to support the thousands of protesters opposed to COVID-19 mandates and restrictions gathered in the city would be arrested. So here's a statement, quote, important. Anyone attempting to bring material supports, gas, etc. to the demonstrators could be subject to arrest. Enforcement is underway, Ottawa police said in a statement on social media on February 6th this afternoon. So Ottawa police, who at first seemed to be in support of the protest and bringing food and supplies, are now arresting people for doing just that. So there's been a change of heart here from law enforcement, which is pretty interesting. I also have a video update here that Bruce Q Wayne, I don't know if he's out there listening or not. He sent me this over at from on Rumble. So take a listen. It's a few minutes long, but it's all kind of building towards something, and that's what I kind of want to talk about. So take a listen. We'll come back and discuss.
Hey guys, so I wish I had some good news here, but I do not. I've got some bad news from some sources inside the police infrastructure. I consider this to be very credible from some people that I trust. Unfortunately, rather than negotiate or speak to or deal with this very popular movement that's happening across the country, the government has opted instead to use brute force. Evidently, according to these guys, there's hundreds of RCMP members from the POU, Public Order Unit, riot cops, are being assembled and bussed into the area. They're planning on mass arrests. Apparently, they're working on this around the clock, 24/7, on how they're going to do this. They're hoping to, arrest a couple of people, and for every person that they arrest, 10 people will disperse and leave the area. Hopefully, they're going to be killing cell phone service. You're not going to be able to call. You're not going to be able to live stream. You're not going to be able to do anything. It's going to be off. People that are arrested are going to be collected. They're going to be bussed down to Lansdowne for processing, and that's how they're going to plan to disperse this. They're going to, rather than talk to anybody, rather than deal with any of this, the most peaceful, unified national moment we're having right now. The state, this is apparently it's coming directly from the top, is to use force to disrupt and disperse these protests before Friday. But that could mean tomorrow. It could be tonight. It could be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But they're working on it apparently around the clock, and hundreds of cops are on the way here to prepare for this. You can expect, I guess, a few hundred RCMP riot cops are going to be taking the lead on this, and then there's going to be, of course, support from the OPS, who are now apparently exempt from being vaccinated. Isn't that nice? Isn't that a nice thing? I know the way they bribe these guys, right? And then, of course, you've got the OPP here. You've got the Durham police, I saw. I've got Toronto police. The entire government apparatus is coming down on top of these people. So for what it's worth, I'm telling you, I'm warning you, this is what, again, it's coming from people that I trust. They're coming, and they're going to arrest everybody. And they're just going to come down there, and they're going to lock you up, and that's going to be that. That's the plan. That's what they're planning to do. They don't want to talk to you. They're not interested in entertaining your problems or talking to you. It's not going to happen. They're planning to send in the jackboots to round everybody up and have them all arrested. And you've only got a couple of days, if that. So share that around. Get this out. Get this message out to the truckers. Get it out to their organizers, their leadership. I'm already in touch with some of these guys and trying to let them know and warn them. This is coming from, good guys inside the apparatus, that this is the plan, this is what they're working on, and this is what's coming. So buckle up.
All right. So we're building towards a crescendo, it feels like here, right? We've seen an escalation from the powers that be in Canada against this demonstration, arresting the supply people, trying to bring in supplies. Now they're, a judge is ruling against honking in the city. And look, I'll be honest, this was sent to me by a viewer, Bruce Q Wayne. He sent this to me. I don't know who that guy is that we just heard talking, but let's just entertain it for a second and say that he does have some kind of connection, and that is the plan, to come and arrest everybody. How do you guys see that playing out, right? We had Ottawa police at one point being friendly. Their official stance has changed. Does that mean there's dissent in the ranks? Is there kind of mixed feelings among law enforcement? Will we see a unified front from law enforcement? What do you guys think here? This thing is getting more and more intense. At some point, someone's going to have to blink, whether it be the truckers, the Ottawa police, the military. Belushi, what do you think, bud?
I heard that the police are not going to be complying with this. and that half of them are ready or have walked off. And I need to validate that with some further sauce. That's just what I heard this morning. Let them try. I mean, we had this threat last week too, right? So let's see what they actually come up with and do. I know that in the beginning they come in with like 2 negotiators, and they try to be all friendly. We're on your side, and but they're basically in stormtrooper gear, right?
Yeah.
And the Canadians are saying, look, I mean, come over to our side then. Come over to our side. Not only do they need to lift these mandates, they have to put it on their books that you can never use these types of powers in emergency situations ever again. And I think that's really what they're going for at the end of the day. But I'd say let them try, man. The police chief already came out and said that they don't have enough resources or manpower to do it. And then Trudeau comes out and says, all right, well, we're not going to bring in the military. I heard some rumblings of National Guard. I don't know what that means up in Canada. But I don't think everything we're seeing, this guy may have some information and be trying to get it out and get ahead of it, which is what he should be doing. If you look at the situation, you look at the sort of barricades infrastructure they've built, you look how much support is there. Not a surprise they're going after the gas, but I know those guys came stocked, and it hasn't been that long. So I think they can hold out longer. You're going to start picking off a couple people, and you think after all this that, just a couple, like every person you arrest 10 are going to go away. Bullshit. I don't think so. I think the resolve is strong on this one, and they got to hold the line. That would be my message to that group.
When it comes to the gas, right, and them cutting off these supply lines, this just comes down to Canadian patriots overwhelming them, right? If I'm organizing supply caravans to just brute force power through any kind of roadblocks they have. If I'm up in Canada right now, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not allowing, how many people can they possibly arrest? Like, if you by foot have 10,000 Canadians, backpacking, for lack of a better word, a gallon of gas each. Like, how many people could they possibly arrest? Like, it's just a war of attrition, it seems like, after a while. And who has the heart, who wants it more, essentially? Are you willing to overwhelm whatever resistance they have to this? So far it looks like the truckers aren't intimidated at all, and they're not going to back down. So,
dude, they're playing in bouncy castles. They're playing hockey in the streets. They got freaking cornucopias of food laid out. I mean, they're comfy, man.
When did Trudeau say they weren't going to bring in the military? I didn't see that.
He said that in an article last week, and I can't remember which one it was. I definitely saw it, though. So I don't remember where it was.
Yeah, he said not at this time.
Not at this time, exactly. So it could have been a head fake. I mean,
the military already told the governor or whatever, the MP of the PM of Ottawa, that basically not go.
So he had
somebody else. So my take on this, I said this way before the truckers. The tyrannical will always use tyranny, and they will ratchet up the tyranny. That's all they know. That's all they got. So it's gonna escalate. My thinking is this: the truckers are organized and they have peaceful leadership. I would go after, because if they're busing in Mounties from all over the country, go after where they're staying. Knock out their power, knock out their fuel, knock out the resources feeding into the police stations. They'll freeze their ass off in no time. And then I would take all those mothers and all those children that are out there singing that We Are the World and lining up in front of the cops and let them try to challenge.
Wow.
Let's see what the police do in riot gear against mother and children.
It doesn't even sound like that's a unified front, though, with the police there. Like, it sounds like there's, like, their ranks are broken on this.
That's what I'm hearing.
It may be, but it doesn't matter if 50% walk. If it's the 50% that stay.
Right.
It doesn't matter if 50% say, no, I'm not going to play and walk away. Unless they join the ranks, it's nothing. It's basically AWOL. And I don't mean to chastise them or not, but it's an aspect of it just diminishes their ranks. It doesn't eliminate them. And if you have the ones that remain are willing there to remain or coerced to remain, they're going to be the aggressive ones. They're going to be the ones that beating the shit out of people for looking at them cross-eyed. And if you know, and I'm not, when I say the women and the children, I'm not looking at them as shields, and I guess you could say that, but I'm looking at them as basically saying, I dare you. Because if you put a burly guy that's a trucker in plaid, and I'm being totally generalizing and categorizing and all that, but if you put a person in there and you see him being beat up on camera, nobody's going to give a shit. You see a mother with a child being walked over, pushed, handcuffed, harassed, as we have seen in Australia, as we have seen in Austria, as we have seen in New Zealand, shit's going to hit the fan. And it won't take much. But that's where we're at. That is where we're at. There, and that's where it's going to be. If the truckers capitulate, my thinking is it's over. They have become the standard, the symbol for the rest of the world. Whether they wanted to or not, they have. The minute they fold, without, in essence, gaining anything, the tyranny will be propelled and saying, okay, we got our answer. This is how we do it. Beat the shit out of them.
Yep. I agree with that. It is like the pivot point, right? In which we move forward.
And what you're talking about, Tian, essentially, right, is that it doesn't matter how many are going to be left. It's because no one's going to care if it was 200,000 or 100,000. They're not going to care. They're going to care about what goes down and what's being presented. That kind of memory of whatever happens within the conflict, right?
Yeah, and I'm not saying that that's what they do. That's what I mean. The mother and there's a disagreement in my thinking as to that they will do that. I'm not saying that they will. I'm saying they should. The issue is this: how do you confront it? Do you want to have truckers do battle with them? The truckers will lose. They're surrounded. They have the police have loosely put the weaponry. It'll escalate. The point of this is the de-escalation. The de-escalation is to basically saying, I dare you. I'm not saying that that's what they will do. They probably won't. But it comes down to this. Who's going to give?
It's the world's most important game of chicken ever played.
Right. Exactly. And knowing and when you're playing chicken, it's knowing when to flinch, right?
Exactly.
The question is this: will the government, knowing what's at stake, flinch? We haven't seen it in Australia. We haven't seen it in Austria. As a matter of fact, Austria just signed compulsory vaccination to the tune of imprisonment.
That's crazy.
We live here in the U.S. It's different here because we're last in the chain.
Yep.
And I don't know. It's easy for me to say, sitting here in my comfy bunker, so to speak, even with my trials and tribulations, is minuscule, right? I'm not being forced to do anything, but I see it coming. These people aren't going to let up.
Yeah, 100%. I'm with you, Tien. I mean, I feel the same way, man. You know, it's like we haven't even been pushed to that level, but I am seeing and hearing, and I don't know if you guys have heard that some of the truckers lining up around the northern border of Minnesota, North Dakota, Montana, and there's this big call to Arizona right now for the southern border for truckers to head down there. And so, you know, with this Canada thing, you know, like you said, if they bend, man, it's over. So I don't know what it looks like, Tien. I mean, I just don't know that they have enough numbers. I mean, what are they, if they, short of them going in there and shooting people, and then it becomes basically a massacre, right? So what are we talking about here? This is Canada's first revolution. So maybe it does get kinetic. I don't know, but they have the
Well,
numbers to overwhelm them.
Play it out. Okay, so you have the riot cops coming in. The tactics that they will use, based on the, in my opinion, based on the concentration, they'll use military tactics, not the military tactics, right? Will there be a spearhead coming down Main Street in lines as we've seen before? No, that's in a riot scenario. That's in a demonstration scenario. These guys have all the vehicles and everything elsewhere, so they're not going to do that. They're going to surround and come in from all sides. They're going to concentrate and pick them up. Concentrate, pick them off. Concentrate, pick them off. Military style, Genghis Khan style, right? That's it makes common sense to do that. So from that perspective, so they come in and become aggressive. Will the truckers just sit there and take it? No. They will become aggressive. The aggression will escalate. I'm not saying it'll escalate to bullets. I don't know. But it will escalate to very
There's going to be
punitive
some, yeah, I agree with you. If they come in like that, there will be some kinetic action for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
And we've seen it, guys. And yes, the truckers will stand their ground, but they're at a, and unless the country reacts, unless the people of Ottawa react, those that are whining about the horns and all that, unless they react and basically call for stopping this crap, it ain't gonna stop. It's gonna be the rest of the people in Canada saying, or all over the world, but in Canada, because it's going to come down to where do you draw the line in what we're seeing going on in these totalitarian governments? You see the UN talking about this? No way, it's in their benefit. And I'm not looking for the UN for support. I'm just saying those are the people that everybody usually looks towards. Well, human rights, blah blah blah, bullshit, right?
Yeah, bullshit.
So unless the people of Canada react, the tyranny is going to be, I hate to say it, successful because they have the upper hand there. They have them surrounded, they have them controlled, they have them where they can basically squeeze them out. Physically, I mean kinetically. I'm not
right. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's a matter of will they actually do that? Because it's an optics disaster.
Well,
yes,
it seems like they want to do that before even trying to even come to the table, because there's been no coming to the table at all throughout any of this.
Well, if they come to the table,
except for O'Toole stepping down or whatever the fuck that was,
coming to the table would be a major sign of weakness, right? Like that right there would be.
No, I know, but I mean, at some point,
I agree. No, I agree. Like at some point they're going to have to, but like the concession that is like for them to come to the table and negotiate with these truckers, the amount of power then that gives to the rest of the people on the planet, like, oh my God, like we've gotten the negotiation. Like that's like a level of legitimacy they're giving the movement of truckers, this whole freedom convoy, to even approach them in the negotiation would be stunning to me. I think they have to try this first. They have to try to huff and puff and blow down the house before knocking on the door and asking politely to,
right?
You know what I mean? Like, because otherwise they look weak. And I hate to say it, but their whole illusion is based on we'll crush you. You can't stand up. Are you kidding me? You're going to the regular people challenge us. We will crush you. We have the machinery of lawfare, law enforcement, everything we need, the media apparatus. You don't stand a chance. You don't have the financial means to defend yourself. You don't have the physical means to defend yourself. None of that. No hope whatsoever. The second they come to the negotiation table and start hearing them out, they lose that entire mystique of invincibility. Because right now, let's be honest, I still see them as invincible. I've watched not just like Canada, but just in general, right? We've seen this cabal, this major machine of giant government, global consolidation, global centralization. We have seen them traffic humans, assassinate, steal money I mean, some of the most blatant crimes right in front of your face with complete impunity. We have not seen any reason to believe that these people can ever be truly held accountable, or that these people can be defeated, scared, intimidated in any single way. There's really no official or on the books proof that these people can really be dealt with. So for that, they're not really invincible, or there could be actual justice. I mean, look at the Epstein thing, right? It's a perfect example of how they could take something that public and that crazy with that big of a scandal, have that big of a just FU of a suicide, no explanation, complete nonsense all around, and just life goes on, right? I mean, it's just there's just never really been anything. For them to the table destroys that entire mystique, and I think they have to try to be the iron fist first. I think that has to be their first option here.
Well, that's not only that, it's their normal course of action.
Yep.
It's always been a compliance by force. Force doesn't have to be a billy club over the head. Look at what we had, the attempt with the vaccine mandate through the corporate structure through the private sector, right? And you had some compliance and all that. So force comes in many different ways. My thought process here is I agree. They cannot. Both sides can't lose, and that's the problem. Because if the truckers lose, the tyranny will escalate. If the truckers win, the people will recognize that the tyranny is a facade, because as I said many times before, it all depends on the uniform class. It is the uniform class that gives the perception of power to the tyrannical level. It's because that's how they exercise it. If they don't have the uniform class on their side in sufficient numbers, they lose. And that's why they can't have this. It has become a symbol. It has become a symbol worldwide. They cannot have that symbol, because the minute they have that symbol of people rising up and you giving in to your authority, which is the people's authority. The authority is the people. But the minute those authoritarians give to that, they lose across the world.
Absolutely.
And I know you guys disagree, and hopefully some people from Canada actually chime in, because I'm looking at it here from the U.S., and from us from the U.S., we really don't know. Unless you lived in other countries, you don't know.
Yeah.
Unless you had the experience of dealing with people from other countries and having them share with you what it's like, you don't know.
Beal things great over on Rumble left a comment and said the truckers are stopping honking out of respect for the Ottawa citizens. It was a 10-day municipal law ordered, and they are complying to keep the peace, but they will not back down. So I don't know. Is that true? I have no idea. You know,
I mean, the honking again is a symbol, right? Yeah. The honking is a symbol, and whether they stop it or keep it going and all of that, that's child's play, so to speak. And I'm not saying they're being children. That's child's play stuff. It's when they basically try to forcibly remove them. You know, the truckers can stop honking, can stop doing all the parades, all the dancing and everything else on the street and all that, to basically appease the citizenry. That's not where it's at.
Isn't the point of this to force the citizenry, or not force, but to get the citizenry to turn or to pressure the government into?
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to judge if they're complying to keep the peace. I'm all about peace. Anything to do that would keep this peaceful but effective. I just find it interesting, because we played a video yesterday, or maybe it was before the morning stream yesterday, or on Saturday, or maybe it was on Friday, I saw a guy, the same guy that you sent me a video before, giving another update about how, you know, he was upset that people were asking them to only hold their honking to, you know, 9 to 5.
9 to 5, right.
Yeah, he was pretty cheesed off. And so this is why we always lose. This is why tyranny always wins, is because, you know, you're always looking to appease, essentially. So that's why I just found that interesting. And
Right. I mean, and it's true to some degree. It's an aspect of picking your battles, right?
yeah,
And the honking, however you land, whichever side you land on that, it's a minor little. It's like in the old battles when the before the melee, the troops would scream at obscenities at each other. That's all that is.
right.
I mean, again, I'm all for it. I know what they were trying to do, but that's akin to that, right? Screaming obscenities to your opponent. That's all really that is. That's not where, I mean, giving that up is not a big deal, and it's not a sign of giving in. That's yet to come.
Let's play this through for a second. Let's say they come in and they squeeze the ring like you're talking about. And let's say the truckers stand up and the truckers drive them off, because ultimately the Popo realized that they're not going to be able to, without taking people physically out, take enough of them down to stop the force that they possess, right? Actually, I shouldn't say force. I should say the power, because they're the force. Then what? Then do you move to a negotiating table? Then how do they back out of that scenario? Let's war game this real quick.
How does who back up? Sorry.
The
gov?
Yeah.
You mean so they arrest a few?
They're whatever you call it, they're administrative. I mean, because it's all still tied to the crown at the end of the day, right?
Right.
We know what's going on over there. So there's a lot of ripples here.
So you're basically to set the stage. On the theory is an aspect of they come in and squeeze, and then they offer going to a table because there's a retaliation.
Yeah, the truckers drive them back.
Right. Well, the truckers react and hold the line. Let's put it that way.
Hold the line. That's
whether they push them back or whatever, hold the line.
Yeah.
Then they go to the table. I mean, that's possible. That's a possible, because the only other thing that they can have is an escalation.
Right.
From a point of negotiation, so this is why they're in such a hard spot. I personally believe they've already lost. The optics are against them. This is a massively popular thing that's happening with the truckers. I think in a big way, the Canadian government's already lost, right? But they hold some leverage in the fact that there is still that mystique of invincibility. You know, it's the cabal is still the undefeated heavyweight champion of the world. You know, so they still have this mystique, which gives them, I think, leverage. So if they're smart, they come to the negotiation table before flexing the muscle, knowing that they haven't flexed the muscle yet, and that's a negotiating tool, right? Like, look, we're here, we've come, we don't want to come down with an iron fist. So let's see what we can work out. And maybe, just maybe, they find a way to escape the situation, maintaining that mystique, if you will, and maintaining some level of pride when it, you know, for lack of a better word. If they squeeze the ring, like you're saying, Belushi, and they try to go in there for a rest, the truckers hold their ground, it doesn't work out, and then they come to the negotiation table, now they have no leverage. They go there basically in a position of, we didn't want to be here. We tried everything we could to avoid this. This is our last option. We don't have anything else to really stop this. So what is it that you want? Because obviously we can't get rid of you by force. So we have to give in to something, you know, like
that's what I'm saying. They're going to have to concede in some way at that point.
They're going to, yeah. So my thing is, if they go, what I'm saying, if they're smart, what they'll do is they'll come to the negotiation table now, lick their wounds, and still have that threat of force available in their back pocket. If they go with the threat of force, or if they go with the force first and it fails, there is no negotiating. they're basically just going to go into the conceding table because they've shown that their iron fist solution doesn't work. What do they have left at that point? It's not, there's nothing for them else to do. What leverage could they possibly hold over their head? If
I still don't feel like they have this, like, I know they have a force, right? But I don't think it's as powerful and as big. I mean, Trudeau tucked tail and ran, man. Is he in Germany right now? Where is he? You know what I mean? It's like
he's in Biden's basement.
Yeah, he's in Biden's basement eating cereal. I mean, so what are we talking about here? I see it both ways. And what the argument you just presented was not even an argument. I mean, the counter, whatever point of view here is the exact same thing I said before. TN said, well, I think they are going to come with force. I said, well, why haven't they come to the negotiating table? It's the same idea. So it's like, again, it's this
right. Which one?
Duality of choice, right?
Right. Right. I mean, and there's benefits and counter benefits to each action, right? To each approach. They some win, some lose. And there was a comment in there, if they arrest all the truckers who deliver goods. We're talking about a place and a potential that they don't care if the goods aren't delivered because they'll turn around and blame it on the truckers. They arrested them, but they had to arrest them. Look what they were doing. They were unlawfully X, Y, Z, whatever, right? So they arrested them. So that the truckers, and then they'll have replacement truckers. They will. I mean, these people don't. And this is where it's very interesting. And I keep thinking of V for Vendetta, and the scene that Q. Okay, and it's not about Q. It's about that movie. In that scene where the truth was shown and how the people just came out onto the streets and flowed like water in their black robes and masks, right?
Yep.
Okay. That was the trigger. So what they saw in that broadcast, right, where the tyrannical government could no longer do what they were doing because the jig was up, type of thing. This is where I see this may be the catalyst here, is where the people get to see, because the media may not be showing it, but unless they do the shutdown of all ability to broadcast, it doesn't have to be live. All it has to be is recorded and then published wherever it can be, whenever it can be. It's over. The aspect of the aggressive approach to taking them out. So I don't know how this is going to play out. It's interesting wargaming it out. At this point, the best action for both of them is to reach some form of compromise in the middle that they can both walk away without the violence. I don't know what that is. I'm not saying that I know what that is. And if the truckers are going after, get rid of the mandates and all that kind of stuff, I mean, that's possible because other countries are already doing it too. If the truckers start demanding other things, that might be a problem. I don't know.
Well, yeah, this is why I'm excited, because because I think the deep state, or the government, the Canadian government, will likely try to use force. I think it'll likely fail, and they're going to be very, very vulnerable in that situation, because at that point, you're right, the truckers, they can demand, they could really up the demands or be a lot more forceful at that point. So, man, it's exciting. This is, like I said, I think it's like the precipice we've been waiting for. Is this whole trucker situation?
Yeah, I agree.
And USA Landshark, I'd seen a couple of comments about that, and Chaz was a bunch of soy boys wannabe. This isn't. Maybe that's not what you attempted.
The garden, that was the highlight of my summer.
Yeah. Let's put a couple of pieces of cardboard and throw a few little dirt on it.
It was so
and then plant some food.
That got taken out by like 12 SWAT team members too, didn't it? It wasn't just like a single SWAT team just kind of walked through the city block and just kind of removed all
they're like, we're gonna feed our whole new country with this literally 10-foot diameter plot of nothingness in the park.
This is not the same, and they definitely don't have the truckers. I mean, don't have let me rephrase that. They have what Chaz didn't. And they, in essence, they have resolve. Chaz had an idealistic bullshit thing that they thought they could do. The truckers have resolve, and from a freedom perspective. And that's majorly different.
With the trucker, yeah, and the truckers aren't dealing with a sympathetic, friendly government and AG. Like Chaz was basically given up. Like it's just a totally different situation for sure.
Yeah.
And
that's probably not how anywhere near how USA Landshark intended to comment. And I'm not saying that that's how she. I just saw the word Chaz and the letters, and for me that was and I saw other comments, and it's no, it's. Nah, I'll tell you what. I'll put it in this perspective. The truckers. Trucking is a tough job. Even though they just may be drivers, it's not an easy job. And to do it in Canada, if you guys ever watched any of the Alaskan truckers in the wintertime, those people have elephant-sized cojones, man. It takes a lot to be a trucker in normal circumstances, let alone in the austere aspects of, let's say, northern U.S. and Canada, because they deliver in the wintertime too. Those guys, those people, men and women, are a breed of their own. So you definitely don't mess with them.
Right on. I want to stay on this topic, but I've got a couple of thank yous I want to jump over and say quickly here, as we got a bunch of these rolling in. Starting with Matt 1776 in the house. It's great to see you, Matt. Thank you for all the support. He says, good to see 412. Good to see you 412 and hang on this Monday. 412, can't wait to fill you on a big performance update. Yeah, I can't wait to meet up with everybody. I know we're trying to find some time to get, Matt 1776. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to catching up with you and the crew. Joan of Sark in the house says, beards of wisdom. Right on. Thank you for that, Joan. Range Penny says, how do they cut the truckers CBs? How do they cut the truckers CBs? I'm not sure. Are they doing that, Range Penny? Thank you for the can. Sean Joe hooking us up with a cookie. Navy Vet says, inside baseball, Durham indictment about to drop along with major election fraud proof. Navy Vet, that's very exciting. Do you have a general time frame on when that might be happening? Because last time you had something like that, it wasn't long until, was it Sussman or Dachenko? One of the two had dropped shortly after you gave us the last one.
I actually saw an article about somebody confirming that Durham was investigating the Clinton campaign.
Yeah, in
the Sussman indictment, he names the Clinton campaign leads, but not by name, by title. So
yeah, there's definitely something heating up with Durham for sure. I think I might have an article. I might have an article on that here. We'll see. I have a bunch of stuff we haven't gotten to, and we may or may not get to today. CK Whitehorse says, love this show, this panel, and the Foxhole fan. Right on. Foxhole running smooth as butter today. I love it. And much appreciated, CK Whitehorse. Matt 1776 says, great panel today. I totally agree. It's awesome to be with these three guys on a Monday panel. Skeeter Burke says, afternoon snack time. Thank you, Skeeter, for the cookies. Seabass in the house, tossing a set of shades our way. Says, hi, Adel. Thank you, Seabass, for the shades. I appreciate you being here. D Patriot 1776 says, honk honk. Great to see you out there, D Patriot. Lynn's over it, tossing us a cookie, along with Daddy Crab says, thanks, guys. Thank you, Daddy Crab. Ryan, our cloaked unseen, says, anything the deep state cabal agrees to do can never be trusted. They lie and never live up to agreements. I mean, hard to argue with you on that one, buddy. Matt 1776, looking this up with an EMP. Matt, thank you so much, buddy. I really appreciate that. It says, forward to it on. May I add to this epic scratch in? You guys, this is like a 4-day scratching that we got building up. Also, I was thinking we should market the Canadian truckers right now as they got blown off GoFundMe. They could easily fund here. Yeah, for sure. Actually, I want to bring that up in a second because I saw an update on how much they've raised on Give, Send, Go, and it's great news. It's absolutely great news. So thank you, Matt, for the EMP. I really, really appreciate that, buddy. And yeah, I would love to get a Canadian trucker channel going here. That'd be fantastic. I'm sure they do really well. Navy Vet says, I'm hearing diesel tankers are showing up now to fuel them. Patriots owner operators stepping up. I love it. I hope that continues. CL Goober says, sorry if I'm too passionate about this, but I believe. Thank you, CL Goober. No one's going to blame you for being passionate, and thank you for the cookie. Luann V says, great way to start the week. Thank you, Luann. Cage Farmer in the house. Good to see you, bud. He hooked us up with a ship. Says, all the pills I got left before my wife kills me. Yeah, stay out of the doghouse, buddy. I appreciate the support, but don't ruin the marriage.
Calm down,
Wait. That's like suicide before the wife kills him.
Yeah, right.
All the pills I have left before the wife kills me.
Yes, that doesn't sound good at all.
No.
Cage
Fight,
Farmer.
Cage, fight.
Yeah, man. Don't wreck the marriage over gold pills, buddy. I love Farmer and Frogger are great. We love them. Thank you, Farmer, for all the support, buddy. Navy Vet says Adel imminent means close. Well, thank you for that, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what comes from Durham next. I didn't think it was going to be this long between indictments. I thought it was going to start picking up the pace, and then it slowed down. So shows what I know. Gator Man, thank you for the cookie. Says honk, honk, honk. Thank you, buddy. Laura QAnon, thank you for the kid. Says Beal things great and DA2 both gave you $100 each on Rumble. Give them a shot. No, really? Holy crap. Says long overdue and thank you for you. Beal things great and D82. Thank you guys so much. That is incredible. We've had a few generous donations on Rumble, but nothing that size before. And to have two of them back to back like that is incredibly generous. Thank you guys very, very much for that over on Rumble. And Laura QAnon, thank you for making me aware of that. I would have felt like total dog shit if I would not have seen that until after the show. So I really appreciate you giving me a heads up. Rock and roll pussy hole with the can says Hong Kong bitches.
Rock and roll pussy hole.
It's
sorry.
No, it's
Isn't that a groupie?
Yeah,
that's
a lot loser right there, boy.
Oh dear.
That's a backstage lizard.
Switch Raw with 240 gold bills says Canadian government acts in violence, global shitstorm. Thank you for that, Switch Raw. Curious Patriot, how can I start with a can? Thank you. Matt 1776 with a phone says just because it's going to be a fun scratch, and it is. I haven't done the scratch since Monday, so you have 5 pretty good shows of gold pill donations all building up today. So we're looking towards an epic scratching coming this afternoon
with Belushi on the show too.
Yeah, I know, right? So we know
that would be the ultimate Belushi.
Yeah, right.
Don't worry, you guys will all get some.
Full Mental Alchemist, thank you for the cookie. Says screaming obscenities, I fart in your general direction. Thank you, Full Mental Alchemist. And then Dog Nuts 10 says you can't stop what's coming. Q.
That's right. You know where that's from, right? I fart in your general direction.
Is that like Monty Python or something like that?
Python and the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, was that? I was waiting to see if Alan.
There you go. Hey.
Good job.
I've seen the
1 for 1 on Monday.
My dad was a huge Monty Python fan.
Yeah.
My grandfather was born in England, so it was instilled in him.
No oil man. I did not want to read the screen name, but he donated the damn can, so so
have you met Asshead yet?
I've met Asshead. I mean, over on D Live, there's funny ones. There's Ass Stethoscope and
Ass Stethoscope.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, there's some funny ones over there. Really.
Luke says, "Bruh, if I get Belushi, I'm gonna be super depressed." Everyone's got a fair shake at this one, I have a feeling.
Yeah, it's a big one. Jacob with the cookie says, I'm in. Much appreciated, guys. I do appreciate all the support today. And it should be a pretty good scratch in here towards the end. Let me see. Where are we? I want to make sure I've got everything up here. Okay, so we've already kind of brought it up, right? The Federalist had an article. The Federalist had an article about this, and I got one from the Post Millennial. But the whole issue with GoFundMe shutting down or not shutting down, but shutting down and trying to steal the funds being sent to the truckers.
Right.
Between this and Joe Rogan, it really, I think, brings a new level of understanding and awareness of the issues of big tech censorship and fascism to a much larger demographic. Do you guys think like this in itself is, because it crosses the aisle, I feel like, both of these things, Joe Rogan's audience along with the mandates, the anti-mandate crowd. It's not just one side. So I feel like this is it's starting to kind of mushroom out into other issues and the cancel culture, big tech censorship. I think it's big, and obviously it's ineffective because Give, Send, Go. I just saw someone put up there is over $5 million raised already in just a few days. So,
yep.
And that doesn't even include what they're getting in crypto and things like that through other options as well. So,
yeah, they're showing their hand. They're showing their cards for certain, as to, again, the tyrannical will always use tyranny.
So here's my question, right? Because this is pretty huge. And there was actually an article by Reuters. I don't know if I saved it or not. I meant to, and then I probably didn't because I was a little bit flustered earlier today when I was kind of going through everything for the show. But there was an article by Reuters. Let me find the headline here. Here it is. Actually, I can bring this up. Let me bring this up because, we just highlighted the larger picture here. There's an article by Reuters. I just find it so interesting. And even Reuters is kind of getting this too and poking a shot. It says, analysis, Trump's Truth Social app, self-proclaimed foe of big tech, needs Apple and Google to survive. So, I mean, it all comes back to the same issue, right? It's like when you try to fundraise or build or develop on these big tech platforms or using these big tech infrastructure or these mainstream means of fundraising or whatever it is, if it's effective at all in challenging the narrative or their power, it gets shut down and stopped. I'm hoping that like this is another example and it kind of wakes some people up to this or more of these companies up to this, to the inevitability of where it's all going to go. Not to bring this all back to like the Trump thing, because I wasn't even planning on going into that today, but it's like how many more of these mass censorship events are we going to need before the leaders of this movement start approaching this problem in a logical way, I guess is the best way I could put it.
It depends on what you want to show. If you want to show the tyranny, you have to show it.
Yeah.
And then the tyranny has to happen. As we saw with Facebook, and now I just received a just-in that, and this is not, I'm not being facetious here, the CEO of Meta resigned. Support Trump candidates. The head of Meta, the parent company of Facebook.
Yeah.
So, and as we saw, again, not to go back to Q, but there's some things you cannot ignore that he has said. You have to not only walk through darkness to see the light, but sometimes you have to, you can't tell the people, you have to show them.
So let me ask it this way then, to you, Homestead, or anybody. Is Trump setting up Truth Social using Silicon Valley infrastructure so that they will take it down and he can show people this is what they do?
Yeah,
Is
I
that
can I
is
can
that is
see
that is
that.
that is that the plan? Because he's already been taken off of Twitter.
Well,
He's already been taken off of. I mean, I don't know how much more you really have to show. Parler's already been made an example of. Gab's already been made an example of. Cloud Hub's already been made an example of. This is what I'm saying is like,
yeah, but those are entities, and that it doesn't address an individual like Trump. Now, Twitter took Trump down. Yes, that was a big one, but that was an early salvo, right? And then you started seeing all kinds of things happening thereafter. I don't know if that's the tactic. The other question is, this is an article from Reuters. Well, if I'm using the Apple Play Store and the Google Play Store type of thing for distribution of an app, big fucking deal. If I'm using their infrastructure to run the app, that's a different story. It all depends on, because these are articles and we don't know. I don't know the architecture, but the question is, of these let's say, Silicon Valley nut jobs, what of it are they really using, and how much can it be done away with at a flip of a switch? I don't know the architecture.
No, there's no flip of a switch, but what you're seeing with the mobilization of Trump Social and sort of the back end with Rumble and all the things he's building with DWAC and CFVI or CVFI, whatever it is, which is Rumble. If you look at the overall umbrella of how he's structuring this SPAC, which is what they're doing, is they're basically, pre-IPO being able to inject investors both on the retail side and on the investor side to actually put the so right now that stock is trading on speculation. There's nothing there yet. There's no deal struck yet. It hasn't come out. But what I see happening is, and we had this conversation before, TN, I think we got into some FCC conversations, because I think once Trump's on if it does happen on the 21st, which would be weird because I think the markets are closed that day. I know the banks are closed, but on President's Day.
Yeah, I think the market's closed too.
Yeah, exactly. So like the next day, let's say it comes out, right? And it rolls.
You mean on 2/22?
Yeah, exactly. And if you see that I think they're immediately going to probably pop up and shut him down with some sort of FCC regulation or investigation or something like that, right? But he's done everything by the book. But if you look at that umbrella structure of the corporation, I think it's TMPI. I'm dyslexic sometimes, so I'm probably getting the acronym wrong. But CNN falls under that umbrella. So if you start looking at all these distressed media properties, it goes across not only big tech, it goes across traditional media, it goes across ad tech infrastructure, cloud hosting, a multitude of things that ultimately will create the new quote unquote sort of media apparatus and infrastructure for potentially the Internet 3.0. There is going to be an Internet of Things. It's going to continue to happen. So who's going to be at least leading the charge and still leaving it open for healthy competition? Because right now it's a complete monopoly. So we don't want personally, I don't want Trump to come in and create some new monopoly where Trump is just in charge of everything either. You know what I mean? So
right.
But how the market corrects. Yeah, right. Go ahead.
No, it's true. There's enough for all to play if they all play fairly. I think that the question that was raised was more or less of the fair play type of thing. And then when I was referring to the architecture, I meant the physical architecture as to what components of Apple and or Google are they actually using. Right. I mean, are they going to be using?
But if they take them over, though.
Right. Well, no, that's the other aspect, though, right? Exactly. You can overwhelm them, so to speak, or buy them out. But it's an aspect of using, the concept of Amazon Web Services, the Amazon
AWS,
cloud, right? AWS, which is big. It's huge in the analytics.
Ginormous.
Right. But Google has their own. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's an aspect of, and this is what I meant about the flip of a switch, in the aspect of, if you start out with those and they start playing nasty, you can architect it in such a way that you can cut over to something else and replace them, and you shown their car, they've shown their cars, and you still keep on trucking. I
Yeah,
mean,
so that-
you may be
so
down
that-
for a few days,
and
right?
that's
Like
and
Gab.
that's what needs to happen, right? And that's exactly the strategy. If I'm Donald Trump and I have the capital that I have, I'm standing up physical servers in some warehouse somewhere as a backup for when, not if, but when. So I don't get dumped. You don't have to do it loudly or publicly.
Yeah.
You can use
Right.
these services and you can build with the convenience of these services. But damn it, you better have your own shit ready to stand up in the background for when they come for you, because they will come for you. The other elephant in the room here that I think that we need to talk about is, I think we all believe in some way, shape, or form that, we'll just say, patriots, the people, are coming back into the power sooner rather than later, whether it be the midterms, whether it be, something else, whatever it might be. I think there's a number of different theories, whether it be devolution or whatever. Point being is, I don't think that any of us look at the situation we're currently in as long term. So how will Section 230 be handled a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now? Will things like Amazon Web Services or IBM and whatever they offer, will these major companies like Google, will they become utilities? Will they no longer be able to editorialize or play games? Will they become open source on some level so we can ensure that they're acting in good faith and being fair and free and letting the free market of ideas actually compete? That's a whole different side of things that we don't really have any idea what kind of conversations, deals, and talks are being had in the background amongst the people we would call white hats. They might have a whole different understanding of the future of how all of this is going to be regulated. So they have no fear whatsoever. So I take solace in this, right? Donald Trump is a pretty brilliant businessman. While he's not a tech savvy guy necessarily, while he's not a software engineer or a computer engineer or even anything close to that, he's also not an idiot. I don't think of the guy as a moron. I think he's pretty savvy, and I think that he's not blind, and he has a pretty decent short and long-term memory to remember what happened to Parler. He probably wasn't completely ignorant as to what Gab had to do to exist. I'm pretty sure he's got the landscape somewhat understood. So the fact that he's full speed ahead, going down this path of playing the big tech game, at least in the beginning and the opening part of this, isn't as concerning to me as it would be for a lot of other companies, because I just have a different level of trust in Donald Trump. Although I'm going to be very, very interested to see how that first situation is handled when someone at either Amazon, IBM, Apple, or Google come to Truth Social and say, look, it's either you host your platform on our services, or you get rid of person X or this group of people. It's one or the other. What are you going to do when that ultimatum comes, right? That's what I'm going to be really interested to see, what cards Truth Social has to play. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt up until that point.
And I'm
going to be absolutely brutal if they start banning people to stay on those services because they don't have a backup plan. Go ahead, Pinata.
Well, let me share something that's from May of last year, and it piqued my interest enough that I made the comment, essentially saying, what if someone that had the ability to provide the technological services somehow presented themselves? Of course, I was saying this somewhat facetiously based upon this particular clip I saw, and Dirty Truth, of course, grabbed this from OAM, but check this out.
So I think I had 36 million on that POTUS. I had 90 or 91 million on one account. We had other accounts, and then we have accounts that are closely associated with us. So we had a couple of 100 million people. And the problem is, a lot of these platforms, you can't put that many people on. It just doesn't work. They explode. if you put 500,000 on, it's like a lot, and they can't handle it. And the technology just isn't there right now for that. But the technology is coming very rapidly, and we're working on something that I think will be a blockbuster when it happens. It's going to be something that's going to be special. But I've been offered companies for almost nothing, big chunks of companies that have platforms. The problem is they can't hold the people. It will take forever to get them on.
So it's the technological.
It's a technological problem because nobody ever had the number of people that I've had. That when we got absolutely viciously canceled. In fact, so much so that when Facebook went to their so-called Supreme Court, the Supreme Court said, "What are you doing this to us? You look at what happened. You saw that they didn't like being put in that position because what Facebook did was wrong, and what they all did was wrong. They're wrong in so many ways, but." So we're looking for the right opportunity, and we think we are very close to having it. And when we have it, you'll be the first to know. You'll be right there, because I have to tell you what you've done and what your network has done for this country someday will be written about. You are
Yeah, that's our girl. But yeah, that was an interesting little statement of acquisition and or resources of availability. He's right. I think Pinata and I were talking about this the other day, or maybe it was on I can't recall if it was on Friday's show or what, but I was discussing the 82 million subscribers that he had on YouTube, on Twitter, 80 north of 82 million, all of a sudden launching and everybody coming online at the same time. That's big. That's big.
Yeah.
So-
No, that is an interesting side of it. How you don't want to pummel one of these companies with traffic that they can't handle.
You can't fail out of the get go, because the media will have nothing but a field day making fun of it.
So again, I think that Donald Trump is a pretty smart guy, right? He's not going to dump a bunch of money into promotion and a brand that doesn't have adequate tech behind it, right? Unless he's being completely swindled by bad advice again, right? He's got some kind of absolute con man convincing them, like, yeah, man, we're standing up the servers, we got all the tech, the coders, the developers, the best, most sleek product. I can't show it to you, but just trust me, or whatever. And unless he's buying something that's not really there, I just can't imagine that this is gonna be 100%, beholden to the whims of Amazon, IBM, Google, and Apple. I gotta believe that there's something more at play here than what we see on the surface level.
If he was doing,
but I will say this right now, blind, as we sit here from just like the blind messaging point of it, based on what's been said, it looks like he has a major blind spot. If I am just staying true to what I said and reporting on things just on surface level, it looks like they're moving forward with a major blind spot. But you got to put that in the context of who Donald Trump is, his history, and how he operates. And when you do that, that just doesn't reconcile. So it's unless there's just something really missing the mark here, I've got to give him the benefit of the doubt on this one for now. Did you want to add anything else, Homesteader? I'm sorry if I ran right there.
I was just saying, if this kind of negotiations and dealings were going on while he was still president, I can see him, let's say, delegating big decisions, to the corporate structure set up and all of that, and therefore that's where he could get screwed. Now that while he's no longer president or not in the Oval Office making those type of decisions, I can see him having the time and the energy to invest in making sure that the launch of Truth Social is on par. Not the technology aspect of it, but I mean, the dude used to visit construction sites, right? To see how it was going. He did that when to the Trump National, which was the old post office, right, in D.C. I doubt seriously he's going to not show up where the server farm is supposed to be.
I agree. No, I agree. Like I said, I'm giving him the
No,
benefit
no,
of the doubt
I'm
on
with
this.
you.
Yeah.
You have to. We have no choice but to wait and see, anyways. So, pretty much is we have to see how it plays out. But in and of itself, the launch has to be successful, even if it's only a few hundred people, so to speak, throttle launched. Obviously, I'm being facetious in the few hundred, because it's got to be from the get-go a success.
I agree with that. Belushi, do you have anything you wanted to add before I go?
No,
on to
I mean,
something
I was gonna, sort of agree with you that there still is a huge blind spot, I think. And I think that to Tien's point, I mean, yeah, he one of the things that Trump is brilliant at is taking distressed quote unquote properties, whatever you want to categorize a property as, whether it's a internet based property, a physical hotel, whatever it is. He doesn't waste any. He tries not to waste anything. He sees the potential and the beauty and the sort of vision for what it could be, and then he runs with it and he goes with it, right? And he sort of runs before he can walk a lot of times, but that's what makes him a great businessman. He has the ability to fail fast. That's just something you learn in business is fail fast. You test quick and you fail fast. And he has the ability, and like maybe he's leaning on some of these various entities or engines to say, okay, all right, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Like you were saying, like, I have this great product. We're standing up these servers. It's going to be great. Okay, cool. Show me. I'll give you a couple million, whatever, show me. And if you fall on your face, he goes, all right, you're fucking out. You're out. And I'm going to expose you to the world that you're out. So he has the unique position and ability to do that. And he's one of very few that can. So we'll see how this comes out. I agree with you, Tien, and I think you're saying this too, Adel. It has to be crisp. So you can't open up the floodgates immediately because you can't handle that type of bandwidth from the onset. So beta it, whatever needs to happen, but show the world that you are coming out with something that is functional and that is ready to roll. And then it's going to continue to keep people's appetites wet so that they can go, okay, when can I get in? When can I get in? You know what I mean? That's also a marketing initiative that would be extremely brilliant, which he is excellent at doing. He's a brand master. So, the one thing I will say is I've been shying away from this new acquisition, and I thought about getting in, but I'm seeing what's going on, and I know that there's a controlled demo happening right now, and this bubble is going to burst. So what does Trump know that we don't know? Maybe he's gonna bottom out and then come back and rise like a phoenix because he's gonna have the infrastructure on the ticker already there, ready to rock when they go public, or they get the funding they need and actually gets put in a position to trade. Because the volatility in the market right now, what I'm seeing, I don't want to touch it, man, but I'm not Trump. I don't know what Trump knows. So it's very, very interesting, all the timing of it all and everything. So that's just my 2 cents.
No, man, right on. Let me say a couple of thank yous, and also to all of you watching on YouTube. We went long on YouTube today because we didn't really go after any sacred cows, but we're going to cut off the YouTube stream here just in case we get into some stuff here in the last half hour. Plus, I want to push you guys to some of these alternate platforms that we have listed below in the description. Check out the foxhole at pilled.net. Rumble is probably the closest thing to YouTube as far as interface and functionality, what you're used to. You guys want to check out our Rumble page? I think I have this show linked specifically down below there. DLive is a really fun place to watch live shows, a rowdy crowd on DLive, and then CloudHub is another Patriot-owned platform that we do our show on. So all those links are below. Pilled Foxhole is my favorite. That's my favorite community. I highly recommend you guys go check that one out. Otherwise, any of the other ones are great. But we're going to go ahead and say goodbye to Susan here. I hope you guys will come hang out with us on some of these other